Okay, g'day everyone. Alright, I just had this partially together. I had the whole gear assembly put back in. That was interesting in itself, putting it back together. I pulled it apart, as you know, and then I couldn't get it to re-engage, and couldn't get it back in because this bottom gear was binding on the synchro mesh of the other shaft. Not that you can really see it, but there is, you'll see hopefully see if I'll pick it up in the light. Yeah, it's so hard to make out, but there's a coil in there. You can sort of see it now. So it looks like two separate brush bushes, but that's actually a coil spring. And you've got to actually compress that to get this clip back on. And I had already compressed it, completed the shaft, and then I couldn't get it back in. I had to take it off again and had to compress it in the housing. Firstly, I tried to get this shaft out, and it wouldn't come out. And just, I was knocking it, and I mean, when I'm saying knock it, you can't whack it too hard, but it just wasn't going to come out. And then, it must have moved a little bit, but this washer here is also a concave spring washer. And basically I had to put this on a solid surface, get a socket that fits around the shaft, get the clip on there, and then whack that down with the socket until it compressed this spring washer enough for the clip to sit in the slot. Sorry, smoking. I don't know why I always do that. I do that a lot while I'm making videos. Decided to have a smoke first, but yeah. Anyway, the other thing, I had a lot of trouble getting it back in. This is like a wedge fit. It's like almost a press fit, this pinion bearing. And what I didn't realise the first couple of attempts, I pulled it in, pulled it out, and it's this hexagon piece on the back that's got to fit into the casing. And there's a notch here, and that notch is in the middle of a flat. And there's also, I can show you in the casing, there's a flat right opposite that shaft. So basically you line that notch up with the shaft, like you get it in and then you put a screwdriver up inside a little one and you turn it until it's in the center of that shaft, and then it still won't drop in. You've got to hammer it in, and don't, when I say don't, I've already done it. I shouldn't have. I was just whacking it with this hammer, but thinking about it later, this is hardened steel. You shouldn't be hitting hardened steel into hardened steel, so this happens to shatter down the track, it'll be my own fault. But anyway, this time I'm going to use a block of wood just to take the shock out of it. But yeah, I looked on several videos of people pulling these, pulling gearbox apart, and most Beetles don't have this type thing. This is actually a fastback gearbox, but yeah, most of the gearboxes are 4-bolt ones. They don't have this pinion nut. And the couple I did find who'd pulled them apart, they skipped over the main things I wanted to know, and like how to line this friggin' thing up, and where it wouldn't just drop in, that it's a wedge fit, and you've got to actually press it in or hammer it in. So yeah, but as I said, I had it all together. And then I went to get the nut, to torque the nut back on it, and which I made a tool for, which I've now finished. I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, I'll pick up the nut, and here's a shim. And then I realise this shim is a packing shim for the pinion. So I had to pull it apart again. Yeah, freaking drama. And of course I Loctited all my nuts and on the nose cone. Yeah, it's freaking screwed all the studs out. I'm going to have to take them off. I think I'll Loctite the studs in this time. I probably didn't need to put Loctite on it. It's just something I'd do out of habit. And yeah, that's something I didn't necessarily want to happen, but yeah. The other thing the other thing too is the gasket that came off this is like paper thin, and being the impatient person I am, like, I actually went and got some gasket paper today, so I'm not going to wait a week or two for bloody gaskets to arrive from Sydney, especially this time of year, you know. They could take weeks and weeks to get here. So, but I went and bought some gasket paper today, and I sort of put this on. I thought about it, and I thought, well, it's not really that vital. You know, if this is sitting up a bit higher, because, you know, like the pinion shaft is actually loose in the casing, and yeah, and which I'll show you. This, well, it's not that loose, but this will move in and out of the casing. That's so you can tighten and adjust the pinion. And yeah, for these, see, I've been knocking this up, you can already tell. So your gears aren't meshing exactly, but they got quite a lot of clearance before they'd bind on anything. So that's what I said. I come to the conclusion it wouldn't matter if it was a half a mil up too high or something, you know, it wouldn't make any difference. And so I took the risk on it, but yeah, I've gone along with right. I hope it's the right size. It's the thinnest I could get. This is a 0.4 gasket. So, and since I've had to pull it apart again, I'll go and make another gasket out of the thinner paper. Where it is vital is on here. Yeah. So the gasket paper on here is too thick. Yeah. It's going to be loose in these bearings. Yeah. This is absolutely vital to have the right size thickness. Yeah, I mean, it was probably getting loose already, and yeah, I don't have the expertise to be able to measure that and reshim it or do whatever to, yeah. So I'm just gonna, yeah, it was working before, so we put it back together how it was. But yeah, I said I didn't want to make it any looser by putting the wrong gasket on it. Yeah, the other issue is this reverse gear. Yeah, the guide's already in there, but yeah, it goes this way, because this is upside down. But yeah, the selector guide goes at the top, and you actually put it in reverse, which it's not at the moment, and it will engage into this gear, and then you still have to sort of put your finger on it and hold it, but yeah, that's how you get it back together. It's sort of a toss-up whether, so if you were to put this, lay the gearbox on its side and put it in, you'd have less trouble keeping this in place, because at the moment, if you take, you have to hold it or it just falls out. Yeah, until you actually get it lined up with the shaft. This is the shaft here. So, you've got to get it down to within about a few inches before it'll engage the shaft. But if you put it in sideways with the gearbox on its side, then you have trouble lining up these shafts, because they want to fall to the side, fall off centre. So, yeah, I think the easiest way is to do it with it, sitting up like this, and just hold the reverse gear until it goes in. But yeah, anyway, I've learned a few things now through trial and error, and but yeah, I had it all together. I wish I'd remember to put this bloody shim in. And of course that's going to fall out when I go to put it together, so I'm going to put this in the casing first. Yeah, here's the tool I made. I finished it, put a bit of paint on it, just because I put so much time and effort. I thought I might as well make it look semi-decent. But yeah, if you watched how I made this in the previous video, you know that I sat this piece of tube on top of the nut, which is where's the nut? Yeah. I sat it on top of the nut. That's the base where the ring is around it. That's the top. So I sat the tube on top of the top, on top of the nut, and then I found a bit of metal with the right width to engage these teeth. I cut it into strips, and yeah, and then cut the strips in the lengths an inch long. And I put a hose clamp around it, and I slipped each one of these into the teeth individually, and then tightened the clamp up. Checked that they were all engaged properly, and then welded them onto this ring which was sitting inside it. And yeah, but because I had it clamped, tight with a hose clamp, it means that this was too tight then, and also with the heat from welding, it expands and moves, and so yeah, then I've had to then get the Dremel out and go along and take just a little bit off each of the teeth. And also, there's a couple of welding dags I had to take off the sides of them, and yeah, a fair bit of mucking around to get it to fit. You can't go a full circle with it, because you've got this shaft here that's in the way, and you've also got the other main shaft I'll leave out for the moment. The shaft itself comes through, but there's no gear in it. But yeah, this gear is only a few mil off this nut, and that's why you can't have a tool that's a full circle. You're gonna, so when I go to tighten it up, I'm gonna have to put it on, move it a few teeth, take it off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on, so on and so on, until I get it torqued up. And I haven't actually looked up the specs, but according to another video that I watched, there's 150 foot-pound on this nut, and I'd be inclined to think that's pretty accurate, actually, considering it's a press fit pinion. So that's what I intend to do it up with. The nut and the pinion, like this is all steel, probably hardened steel. And that'll cope with 150 pound anyway, so there's no issues with it. But, yeah, anyway, that's what I'm up to, and hope this is helpful to somebody. As I said, those little bits of information I couldn't find There was 2 or 3 videos on this particular gearbox, and all of them skipped over the vital information that I wanted to know. So, yeah. Alright, well, hit the like, please. Okay, bye.